Numbers from Statistics Canada show Canadian exports to the United States are nearing the lowest ever.
Statistics from up north paint a pretty grim picture. Canadian shipments to the U.S. are scraping the bottom of the barrel, almost the lowest they've ever been. Every single year, billions, specifically $3.9 billion of Canadian nickel, pours into Detroit, fueling the big electric vehicle push across the border without making a fuss. It's the unsung hero keeping those American EV dreams alive. But then, August rolled around, and with a quick scribble from the guy in the White House, the same one who used to hawk steaks and run casinos, he figured he had all the answers on how to manage a global supply chain. That 20% tariff on electric vehicles didn't stop at China. It slammed right into Canada, our longtime buddy, the neighbor we share hockey rinks and border crossings with. No carve-outs, no chit-chat, just a hefty tax barrier standing in the way of any real logic. And now folks in Ottawa aren't firing off angry posts online, they're sharpening their own trade tools. Mess with the vital pipeline feeding North America's battery heartland, and you shouldn't be shocked if Canada grabs the revival paddles, or something a bit more explosive, picking up from where that wall-building enthusiast left off, convinced that protecting U.S. jobs meant slapping fees on the exact stuff that juices up American rides. For years, that nickel stream stretching from Sudbury in Ontario straight to Detroit has been the steady pulse behind the whole EV revolution stateside. Forget China or Russia, it's Ontario that's been delivering the goods. Annually, some 105,000 tons of nickel-copper mix travels that route, churning out over $3.9 billion in cathode stuff for those battery factories down south. That's no imbalance, it's pure support. Good luck explaining that to the tariff kingpin treating international trade like his personal board game. It gets even more short-sighted from here. Take a standard 86 kWh battery in your average SUV, running on that classic NMC 811 setup. It needs around 38 kilos of nickel, accounting for 80% of what's in each cell. At today's prices, about $27,400 a ton, you're looking at roughly $775 worth of nickel per pack. But now, with this 30% tariff kicking in, tack on another $230 just to get it over the line. That bumps the hit to $950 or even $1,020 per battery, dragging GM's expected profit margin down from 10.1% to a measly 8.3%. And trust me, big business hates dipping into those low single digits unless it's dodging taxes. On top of that, this so-called genius move is set to erase 94,000 EV sales in 2026, based on Arena's simulations from last July. Run the numbers yourself. A policy that's all about putting America first ends up inflating costs, trimming earnings, and leaving US EVs playing catch-up while squeezing everyday buyers and pink-slipping tech folks. It's like jamming a rock on the accelerator and then pointing fingers at the tires when things go wrong. The battery network was humming along fine until someone in DC decided to swing a wrecking ball at it, continuing from the mess that Detroit's battery ambitions just took, courtesy of a tariff penned by the fellow who once swore windmills were health hazards. Up in Ottawa, they weren't sitting idle, they were gearing up for a response. Come late July, Canada skipped the dramatic announcements and went straight for a strategy manual. 4 calculated steps, precise and understated, meant to apply pressure without the fanfare. Start with a 15% levy on raw nickel heading out, aimed square at those U.S. cathode producers who've enjoyed duty-free access from Sudbury forever. So long to that cozy partnership. Next up, a system to track carbon in the exported cathode goods. In plain terms, only the low-emission nickel from Ontario, made with clean hydropower and efficient processes, gets the quick NAFTA lane. If it's got a dirtier footprint, better reroute or shop around. After all, if the administration wants to go all in on America first, Canada's cool with chasing the best deals and the greenest options. Then there's a $257 million fund poured into the Quebec-Ontario stretch to speed up battery tech. That shifts things towards cells needing way less nickel overall, cutting ties to nations that mix up trade tactics with actual plans. And capping it off, the real standout, targeted tax breaks to lock in Stellantis and LG's massive 20 GWh cell facility right in Windsor. Jobs? Canada wants them too, and they're not messing around. Per the Canadian Expenditure Office's memo from July 28, this package could shunt more than $1.8 billion in export cash away from U.S. customers towards South Korea and the EU by 2027. Carney himself stayed off social media, no outbursts, but in those private huddles, the word was exact and cutting. Our nickel and cobalt are like like rare gems. We won't flinch at pulling the fiscal lever. And just like that, the chatter in White House corridors hushed up because throttling a key vein can lead to a comeback with extras. To spell it out, Ottawa didn't lash out wildly. They fine-tuned their paths, reworked the maps, and started quietly routing nickel to new spots. The data tells the story loud and clear. Through the first half of 2025, Canada's nickel sulfate outflows spiked 23%. The catch? The US slice shrank, while South Korea and Germany swooped in eagerly. As DC stacked up barriers like it was the Great Depression Redux, partners elsewhere inked fresh shipping packs. That pristine nickel from the hemisphere, once Detroit-bound, is now created for Hamburg and Seoul. So what's left for the American EV sector? Reliance on laterite nickel out of Indonesia and the Philippines, the bargain bin variety of ores. Affordable, sure, but loaded with eco-baggage and sustainability headaches. Now, let's chat about the climate side. Nickel refined in Ontario clocks in at a lean 42 tons of CO2 per ton of output, all thanks to hydroelectric setups and smart electrolysis. Flip to Indonesia, and you're staring at 36 tons of CO2 for the same amount, almost 9 times the emissions. China's version? Still hefty, around 18 tons per ton. And get this, starting in 2026, the EU rolls out a carbon border fee at 115 for each ton of CO2. That could mean any US-built EV, laced with that grubby nickel, faces a whopping eco-penalty just to hit European shelves. What started as a pitch for shielding the economy has morphed into a foreign policy backfire, complete with environmental fallout. Push away your purest source, and you're stuck with a haul of fees and cars that need a carbon apology to go global. Meantime, amid some off-the-record talks and fundraising bashes, Washington's eyeing a trio of paths forward, and none promise an easy ride. First path: grant a unique waiver for Canadian nickel. Keep the 30% on the rest of the world, but let Sudbury slide through unscathed. That preserves the Ontario to Detroit flow, stanching the cash bleed at EV sites. Second, dig in deep. No waivers, tariffs, locked and loaded. Canada fires back with their 15% export hit, caps supplies, and funnels deals to Europe and Korea. Detroit's left, scrambling with empty ledgers and scant metal. Third, split the difference. Ease the tariff to 20-25%, mend the US-Canada Critical Minerals Pact, and cross fingers the EU doesn't counterpunch on carbon. It's flawed, but beats outright folly. Wall Street's odds as of July 31, 60% lean toward the first, or third, 40% chance of total chaos. GM's not twiddling thumbs. They've already shaved their 2026 EV output projection from 360,000 to 310,000 vehicles. A $3.2 billion pivot that's no joke. But perhaps that's the 47th president's idea of deal-making. To everyone else, it feels more like making your ally hitchhike than scratching your head over the empty garage. While negotiators flip through docs in cooled conference rooms, average folks eye those dealership stickers and start walking away. With the 35% tariff plus climbing nickel tabs, the F-150 Lightning sticker is eyeing $72,500 come early 2026. That's not pricey. That's maybe get a yacht instead territory. The trusty gas F-150 XLT, it still edges out the electric 1 by 15 to 20% over 8 years of ownership costs. Bottom line, the EV truck's been tariffed into elite status, and the gas guzzler just turned into the smart buy. These levies were hyped to safeguard US labor, but right now, the real winners are gas station receipts and oil barons. The very people sold on affordable, eco-friendly wheels are getting edged out of the EV game. This isn't governance, it's hobbling your own logistics, then passing the ammo to rivals. As the current crew shoots for half of new autos to go electric by 2030, the on-the-ground vibe is more like 20% wishful thinking and 80% wallet whiplash. And the leader in the executive mansion? He's wrapped up in tariff battles, blind to how the Heartland's folks just got locked out of the sustainable ride they were hyped on. So, who's the EV crowd for these days? Not the family next door, unless they're Wall Street whales. And the real zinger the Oval Office misses, Ontario's not pleading for brakes. They're issuing tickets for nickel hauls elsewhere. The EU's parched for spotless minerals, and Canada's low-impact stuff slots right into their eco-blueprint. South Korea's upped Ontario polls by 18% since March, says the Canada Trade Monitor's July wrap-up. So as Washington erects fences, Ontario lays down rails. On this fresh minerals game board, they're not pieces getting moved. They're calling the shots in the center. What we're seeing isn't Canada ceding ground. It's them waking up to the fact they don't need US nods anyway. Meanwhile, the Oval dwellers still gawking at tariff graphs like they're rally props. Newsflash, the action's not in DC, it's up in Sudbury, and Ontario's not fading. It's forging ahead. Fast forward one tariff, and the nickel that silently sparked America's EV vision has exploded into a cross-border bomb. What was a firm clasp with our nearest partner has twisted into talks laced with menace. That $39 billion vein linking Ontario and Detroit, once throbbing strong, now butts against a blockade of flawed figures and Fowler maneuvering. Nickel, formerly a footnote in lab notes, now dictates the build sites, costs, and timelines. Lose hold of Ontario's pure stock, and who's dropping billions on a Michigan gigafactory? Tariffs hike more than tags. They wave warning flags at funders. Canada presses on. Europe unlatches gates. Korea seals pacts. In DC, the chiefs crowing victory, while the battery corridor leaks resources. So the big query, keep slamming doors on partners, and how long till they quit rapping? Or have they already? Share your take in the comments, and tap subscribe for more no-nonsense dives into the world's economic and power plays.